So as I said, I just finished the video on telling your story. You know, if you want to look at that, now I'm going to tell you my story. And the reason I do this is because I practice what I preach. It is the story of my mental health illness and how I am today able to tell you a story without tearing up. I want you to know that mental health can have a positive effect on a person's life. Recovery is mental health is in an ongoing cycle. I go through a tough, hard time in my life. I recover from it. I move forward to the next challenge or setback. While I can't say I'm fully recovered from my mental health illness, I can say I fully recovered from the hard time or challenge in my life. I will share what worked for me. I want you to know that mental health is just like anything else a person goes through. What worked for me might not work for you. I am a veteran. My journey will be different than a lot of people. I spent 29 years in the National Guard and active duty. I was in Desert Storm, Iraq 3 times, and Afghanistan once. I retired in 2012 as a staff sergeant. There is no mental health in my family. It was not until I was 38 that I had my first mental health episode. It was April 2004. I had just returned from a year-long deployment in Iraq. I found myself on the highway outside of Fort Hood, driving down the middle of the highway. This is something that we used to do in Iraq to keep the vehicles away from us in case of a VBIED, or just to keep us from getting tied up just in case we get caught in a firefight because of traffic all around us. It was a weekend when this happened, so I went to see mental health sick call on Monday. They said my serotonin level was off. They said I was suffering from depression. They put me on Prozac. This made me feel better. There was nothing that I did that caused me to get depression. It should have been the same. It was the same thing as any chemical imbalance, but it was different. This was almost an immediate reaction from my chain of command to why a senior NCO would go to mental health. An NCO leads by example. They want to, as I sat there and had a discussion about my ability to lead my soldiers, I told them I would be fine. While I did my duty every day, I had in the back of my mind the other eye looking at me, which means people saw me from that time forward. I kept doing everything exactly like I had before by mental health illness. On November 29, 2004, there was a Black Hawk crash near Fort Hood. It killed 7 soldiers. 3 of those were friends of mine. At the time, I was the NCOIC of the battalion funeral detail. That meant we were doing funerals for all of the Army deaths in the bigger part of Texas. I told LT I wanted to do the funerals if any of them were in Texas. My team ended up doing 2 of them. Mark Evans Jr. and David Gardner Jr. I was also an escort for David's father. I was very close to every part of the event, from recovery to burial. It was an extremely hard time for me as I presided over another funeral. Also, for me, triggers were sound of Black Hawk, smells of burning wreckage, and the smell of JP4. I would be around Black Hawks for a long time at Fort Hood. With a traumatic event like that, the looks from my chain of command became more intense. I didn't miss a beat with my dedication to duty. The burden that I bear, no one understands other than my brothers and sisters in uniform. I made my second deployment in November 2005. In February 2006, I threatened my NCOIC in Iraq. I was sent to Germany for inpatient, then back to Fort Hood for outpatient, As it turned out, the NCO was sent home for medical reasons. My first sergeant told me I was going back to Iraq. Told him that was fine for me. The doctors got me on the meds I needed to be cleared for deployment, and I left. I finished my tour successfully. I deployed to Iraq my third time. Each time I deployed and came home from deployments, I had to be cleared medically. This included mental health. I never used mental health to get out of a job. I have never used it. I own my mental health. It is a part of me as much as anything else. I will say that the treatment program of therapy and medication is what worked for me. There was always adjustments to medication, and it is important that you communicate with your doctor what works, what doesn't work. In my third deployment, I was the NCIC of the Division Dining Facility. We fed over 2,500 people each meal. I also was in charge of doubling the size of the dining facility. As the NCIC of the dining facility, I was responsible for keeping the Commanding General for 4th ID up to date with day-to-day operations. People knew about my mental health illnesses, but I was the one to pick to run the dining facility. This shows you how much they learned to trust my judgment in high pressure situations. I spent the last 8 years of my 20-year career with a mental health illness. I was never relieved of the position, and I was given much respect by my peers and seniors in my chain of command. As you know, respect is earned, not given. I retired in 2012. I worked in kitchens until last October. I am now doing peer support for veterans. Everything I experienced is because of my mental health illness is part of who I am today. I will always tell people I believe in mental health treatment. With all of that has happened, I've never had a drinking problem or a drug problem. It is a victory to do what I do today. The change from Army to civilian life was huge for me. For 20 years, I was a soldier. I believe there is no bigger transition a person can make than living a well-structured life to feeling like you're flying by the seat of your pants every day. The Army does not have any type of program to help soldiers with change. My first 2 years out, I did not seek mental health. I felt like with staying with the same job, being a chef in the kitchen, I could handle it. I was yelling every day, cussing at people that were slow and doing the work of 2 people. I finally realized I needed help. I went to a therapist who turned out to be a wonderful fit for me. Kim first told me that I had a serious anger problem. This was not only causing me to be depressed more, but also keeping a job in the kitchen. It took a lot of work, but after a year, I was able to bring my anger management under control. That opened the door to more issues. My high expectations was a problem because they were driving my emotions. This was not a good combination. Kim helped me bring my expectations of others, the kitchen, and myself down to a level where I was content with them. I would like to talk about the therapy department treatment. I had many therapists over years. There are 2 that fit like a glove. I mentioned Kim earlier. The other one is great as Ashley. She's helped me to be in a place today I am today as a survivor. Kim took me a rough around the edges person and uncovered the issues. She made me a person who dealt with my problems and worked on them every day. I actually took to polish Michael and helped refine the coping skills I had learned from Kim. The one area we were able to overcome was my impulse control. It was something that I didn't realize I had until a few years ago. This was getting me trouble with the police. I am glad that I was able to get the help for it. It is important for you to have a person who you are comfortable with, and a therapist needs to be comfortable with you. If you go see a therapist and it's not a good fit, ask for a recommendation. They may know someone that will fit you better. Also, don't go into treatment thinking 5 or 10 sessions is going to do the trick. Take as long as it takes to get what you want out of therapy. Don't rush it, let it flow. Mental health is not to be rushed. I learned this while I was going through my therapy with Kim. Where I am today, I am writing a story of my recovery and healing every day. Last year when COVID-19 hit, I wanted to do something and reach better. All of our places that we had been going to have been shut down. We needed the camaraderie. I am a peer support specialist. I started a Facebook page. It has helped the veterans standing in front of you. Through this page, I talk about the issues as the veteran faces when we leave the military. The transitions is the most difficult thing I have ever done. I have more than 19,000 followers. It's amazing how I can connect with veterans through this page. I am a volunteer for Valor Ranch, Veterans Produce, Carry the Load, Pathfinders, and Military Veterans Peer Network, helping building those two organizations through my time and effort. My mental health is something I work on every day. It is a challenge some days. It is hard to get out of bed. However, I get out of bed every day because I have a purpose. My purpose is serving veterans any way I can. Having a purpose is the biggest thing veterans want to find. I challenge you to find your purpose through serving others. As I said at the start of this testimony of my story of mental health and how I'm a better person today. I'm a healer and a survivor, and I can tell my story without tearing up. So that's my story. You know, it will continue to be written every day. Just remember, nobody else can write your story, only you can, and it needs to be a story that's that you're worth living for. Be somebody that's worth living for. It's hard to go through mental health issues and stuff, but you can do it. Like I said, you can PM me on my page if you have any questions or you want to talk or whatever. I have 5 people who I am in a client relationship with now that I'm helping veterans, and I help people with questions all day. Just little questions like, hey, I got out, do I need to file a new claim or whatever, and I tell people, the biggest thing that they can do for themselves is to file that disability paperwork and to get the money that the government owes them for their sacrifices they made during their time in the military. So like I said, that's my story. In a few months I'll probably share it again because I want people to know that there is hope out there. I want people to know that there's a reason that I do this. This is not so I can hear myself talk or whatever else. It's so that y'all will understand that there's hope out there and that you can get through this. So I'll talk to y'all next week. Y'all take care.